Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to go over our commodity technical analysis update. I'll give you my financial opinion and we'll step on through it. We've got cross currents all over this place for the market. So we'll take a look. I'll give you my opinions here. We're going to dive in with the dollar first. So we've got the dollar here, the DXY. This is a relative strength indicator. At least that's the way I refer to it as. This does look like we want to go lower. This is a reversal candlestick yesterday. We are getting that selling pressure. We're probably going to come back down in this general area, and we'll have to reevaluate what happens at that area. So that's that 109-ish area where we have to see what the candlestick does at that time. And a weaker dollar is usually a tailwind behind some of these commodities. They're priced in dollars, a little bit weaker dollar. Not all the time, but usually that's the case. We saw in the second half when the commodity market really took off in 2002, which is back here, we had that decline in the dollar. And that was a tailwind. Let's just go all here. That's this guy here, 2002, when there was a tailwind for those commodities. And I don't know if we necessarily have to have this go down for commodities to do well, but it usually is a tailwind. We are getting a little wick on the monthly. We'll see where we close at the end of this month. We may come back below that resistance support line. And I drew this kind of haphazardly in there. You could draw it even up at this level up here. If you want to touch the bottom here and kind of the tops through here. You very well could draw it up here where we're actually coming off that top. And we just banged our head and we're heading lower in it. That is probably a more cleaner path for resistance, but this general vicinity is resistance. The 10-year yield is higher today, up 1.19. Momentum is a little bit to the downside, so it gapped up and sold off throughout the day. So that is a higher yield. Looking at this from a little bit longer term perspective here on the TNX 10-year yield. Anyway, yep, and we've launched to the upside here, but we are starting to put a wick at the top there. These wicks usually means that there's selling pressure, and we could come back and do a retest down to this line down here, which is a high probability. So in the short term, I do think that there's some selling pressure, or I should say buying pressure of bonds, lowering pressure of yields for yields to kind of come back a little bit. But right now, we're up just a little bit today. TLT, that's your bond prices, just up a little bit today. Actually, it's down, but up in momentum, I should say. And then the 30-year yield was basically slightly higher. Looking at the commodity index is getting that bloody nose. The bloody nose is usually a continuation pattern to the upside where we had higher. It's a tall green candlestick with the small down day bloody nose. And that is usually a continuation pattern higher. Although I will say we still have strong momentum downward that we have not basically worked off yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what the buyers do here, what the sellers do here. I don't see a clear path signaling that we are necessarily going to go higher yet. Usually when you've got this much momentum coming down, you're going to have to work that momentum off or something before moving higher. And that's what I expect it to do. Gold, we've got that bloody nose as well. Today, we'll have to see where this thing goes. We are in a battle between all of these different indicators, and right now we are still in a downtrend for gold. Silver, we got that bloody nose. That's usually an indication to go higher, although we have momentum in front of it going lower. So who's going to win here? Are the sellers or the buyers going to win? I don't necessarily know in the short term. It gets kind of tough. I'd say short term, we have the possibility of going up, but the sellers could still be there. Platinum, moving sideways. Again, we've got this large selling pressure sell-off. The buyers haven't stepped in mass yet, but we do have a bullish setup trying to go higher. XEU to gold ratio, it's moving on higher. People are positioning in the gold and silver miners more so than gold. And that's what this ratio is telling us. But we still have not broken the long-term downtrend, which is above us. GDX heading a little bit higher. Gold was a little bit basically flat today. So it still looks okay. We just have to see what the buyers want to do tomorrow. No distinct opinion here. Same with SILJ. Right on support resistance. Small little update today. Buyers didn't come in here and push this thing higher, but the sellers didn't come in and whack it. So really, we got to figure out where they're going to go here. I like it down here because it's cheap. And that's, way down here for both GDX and SILJ. And I do think that there's some good developments in the works in terms of yields that could push that higher. Crude oil, slightly lower today. Again, we got the bloody nose, big green candlestick with the slight down day. Sometimes they call it profit-taking days. We're still in this downtrend, downward momentum movement. But if we see large selling pressure come in, that's going to be very positive for a move higher. I know that we're getting close to fall. The SPR releases should be done somewhere around next month, end of next month. And we might see crude oil start to strengthen here, anticipating that stoppage of the SPR and also the Freeport LNG facility coming back online for natural gas. So slightly lower in crude oil, slightly lower in natural gas futures. And I think, are we going to come back to this level in the next 10 trading days or something? It's very well possible. If it does do that, it's a buying opportunity, in my opinion. Freeport LNG facility coming back online. Crude oil, I think, will get tighter with the SPR not being released. And I think it looks pretty good for a good winter for both of those commodities going higher. XOP, yeah, you know me, down 0.65%. Again, the bloody nose is showing up. Statistically, it's a pattern that likes to go in a continuation pattern. So that's looking good. Going on down to OIH, that also has something very similar. I think that we are trying to do some sort of bottoming type movement. Doesn't mean we'll be successful with the momentum. We might go sideways for a little bit and then move on higher. Looking at uranium. So this is the futures pricing moving sideways. I still like it. Looking at the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, we were down today. We're at that support area, support resistance. We're coming back up. We're right at that support resistance area. I don't see that the sellers necessarily creamed us here because we've got bigger buying pressure before it than the selling pressure. So what do we want to see next? We want to see small down candlesticks, very small in opening and closing price. Then we want to see the launch higher. That would be bullish, in my opinion. We don't want to see strong selling pressure that puts in a big fat down candlestick. We don't want to see that. Anything that's up is good. If it's a big up day, like a bullish engulfing or something, would be great to see. URNM also selling off a little bit today. Still, it's not great, not horrible. It's kind of indifferent here. What we're seeing is a battle between the buyers and the sellers. And we know that we got some selling pressure in the overall market, and it was down quite a bit. So I would actually say that this is exhibiting some strength in the price, even though it was down 3.73. The overall markets were down pretty bad. We're getting the bounce. We have some buying pressure. We still have some selling pressure in this thing, and we're right above support on this. So everything is looking all right. CCJ, our leader, small down day. I still think it looks all right. I'm not convinced yet that we're just going to go up and try ripping it. It's possible, but when we back out here, we're trying to break through that resistance line at $32. And I don't know why that's up there. Let me remove that real quick. $32 is where we want to break. And right now, we're just getting that down, kind of a medium down day where we could go either way. Short-term wise, with that down day and the relative strength in relationship to the markets, I think if the markets hang in there, we're going to go higher. If the markets really sell off, I think we're going to go down with the markets. So let's look at the overall markets here a little bit after this. We're going to go through a couple more. Selling pressure today with the overall markets. It's very much following the markets, but we're still above the broken out trend line for a retest. Still looks good in my opinion. COPX just moving sideways, the bloody nose. I think that could potentially go higher in the short term. So that's, and it was relatively strong in relationship to the overall markets. CRB to S&P 500 heading higher today, looking a little bit better than yesterday. Again, this is just in an uptrend, looks good. We've got rare earth metals heading lower, right at support. We'll see where this ends up. No reversal candlestick outside of yesterday was a bullish engulfing. Still looks okay. Not great, but just okay. Lithium, bullish, piercing, engulfing yesterday. Now we're getting a little bit of selling pressure. We do have a little wick at the bottom. This could go either way. No clear indication. I would still not do anything with it, just ride it. The S&P 500 selling off today. We do have a little wick at the bottom, but we're playing with fire down here. If we break to the downside, we could see a much larger sell-off. Same with the U.S. Composite Index, little wick at the bottom. We're playing with fire down here where we could sell off if we break this level that we're at. Hopefully the buyers come in here, push us higher. I think it'll push everything else that we are in also higher. EEM, selling off a little bit, but we do have a bullish hammer candlestick going on. So perhaps we could head higher with it. We'll find out. We have a bullish engulfing the day before, and we're right at support. XHB, a little bit of a down day. We have a big monster up day yesterday. A little bit of a down day today. Buyers and sellers are duking it out at this level. The overall markets, I think, dragged it lower. We'll see what happens. We're still broken out of this downtrend, but I really don't have. I don't have any skin in this game here. We could pull back to 48 if it wants to and do a full retest if it decides to do that. Lumber heading a little bit lower, down 2.66%. It does look like it wants to continue lower from a long-term perspective. We've got cocoa futures hitting higher off that support level. They look good. Wheat was down 0.77%, that little bloody nose. I still think it looks good to go higher over time. Soybeans still looks okay. No selling pressure stepping in here and romping it. You could even draw it more on the lines of like something like that. Corn still working its way higher. Still looks all right. No huge selling pressure yet. No reversal candlesticks. Copper still looking a lot better. It's starting to come off that support region, and we're still chopping sideways between the breakout of 375 and above would be good. We don't want to fall below 320. MOO, which is our VanEck agribusiness ETF, just moving sideways, a little wick at the bottom. I still think it looks good. Hammer pattern with a bullish engulfing the day before. Hopefully we can get some buying pressure in here and reverse it higher. Aluminum, big up day today. That's good. It looks like we're trying to put in a bottom at support, and hopefully we can turn this thing around for aluminum. The Baltic Dry Index basically still sitting at resistance level, just moving sideways. A little bit stronger selling pressure throughout the shipping companies. So that's what we've got for today. Stronger yields, weaker dollar. Weaker dollar is good for gold. Stronger yields, the stock market doesn't like stronger yields. So we're going to have to see where these yields go. We're getting kind of a mixed bag. Gold was flat because it doesn't like higher yields necessarily, but it also loves a weaker dollar. Some of the areas still look good. They're putting in bloody noses for continued moves on up. And we had a lot of bloody noses today, we'll call it. It's the big, tall green candlestick with the small profit-taking day. And if the markets get a little bit of, a little bit of a tailwind behind it, and we'll see if rates continue higher or where they go in the short term. Remember, we've broken out. We could always do a retest before moving on up. So in the short term, depends what rates do. If rates go down, I think we're going higher. If rates start rocketing higher, I think that's going to be a huge headwind for the overall market. The overall market then could pull some of these things lower. But that's what we've got for the short term, guys. At least that's what I'm seeing. If you guys like the content, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys like the finding-value.com platinum membership. That's the membership I would sign up for. We've got a platinum question and answer session for Saturday, 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then the week after will be at Sunday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I'm gonna kind of rotate back and forth to capture everybody. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Have a good day. This is Finding Value.